Okay, welcome in. I'm now going to be reviewing all of Thursday's action from the NHL. There were 11 games on tap, therefore 22 teams were hungry for 2 points in the standings, starting with an all-Canadian matchup between the Montreal Canadiens and the Ottawa Senators. Let's take a look and see who scored from this game. In the first, the captain, Brady Tkachuk, would open up the scoring 8 minutes and 40 seconds into that opening frame, his 19th goal of the season, assisted by Gregg and Zub. Tim Stützle would score less than 3 minutes after that, increase in lead to 2-0. With that, it would be his 8th goal of the season, assisted by Zub. Cole Caulfield would cut the deficit to 2-1, getting the first goal for the Montreal Canadiens, his 15th of the season, assisted by Sean Monahan. And that goal happened with 6 minutes and 35 seconds to go in the first. So after the first period, it was 2-1 in favor of the Sens. Chartier, I believe is how you pronounce his name, would score roughly halfway through the second period, increasing the lead to 3-1, getting his second goal of the season from Kelly and Bernard Docker. Tarasenko would score with just over a minute to go, 1 minute and 6 seconds to be exact, getting his 11th goal of the season from Brady Tkachuk and Tim Stützle. So after 40 minutes of play, the Senators were dominating 4-1. In the third, 1 minute and 41 into that frame, Matthew Joseph would increase the lead to 5-1, scoring his 7th goal of the season, assisted by Stützle. Over halfway through that third period, 7 minutes and 34 seconds to be exact, Kelly would add yet another insurance goal, getting his 5th goal of the season, assisted by Sanderson. Michael Pezzetta would score pretty much like a garbage goal for the Canadiens with just under 5 minutes to go, 4 minutes and 44 seconds to be exact, recording his 2nd goal of this season. So 6-2 would be the final score from this matchup. With the victory, the Senators are still 8 games below 500, 16-24-0. I believe they are the only team that is still yet to lose in overtime or a shootout. So there's still a big O at the end of their record. And with the loss, the Habs, again, I still believe they're going to be like a 500 team throughout the entire season, 19, 19, and 7. All right, let's take a look at the next matchup, which takes place in Buffalo, where the Sabres were playing host to the Chicago Blackhawks. All right, we'll take a look at the goal scoring summary from this game. There was no scoring in the first. We can jump all the way ahead to the second, where Gigeronis, I believe is Gigersons. Holy cow. Why can't his last name just be Smith? We get his 4th goal of the season from Johnson and Krebs, and that goal happened with 7 minutes and 33 seconds to go in the frame. In the third, Paterka would increase the lead to 2-0, getting his 14th goal of the season from Johnson and Quinn, 2 minutes 57 seconds into that frame. And then at a power play in the third, Dahlin would increase the lead to 3-0, 6 minutes and 6 seconds in that frame, assisted by Middlestat and Tuck. 3-0 would be the final score in favor of the Sabres. So with the victory, the Sabres are sitting at 20, 21, and 4. And with the loss, the Blackhawks are 13, 30, 3. Still at the bottom of that Central Division. All right, let's take a look at the next game, which takes place in Boston. We have the Bruins. They played host to the Colorado Avalanche. This will be a pretty quick changeover. All right, let's take a look at this game recap. So in the first, David Pastrnak will get his 27th goal of the season, opening up the scoring for the Bruins, assisted by Charlie Coyle, just 44 seconds into that opening frame. So the fans are literally just getting in their seats. About 5 minutes into that period, Lacko would get his 1st goal of the season for the Bruins, assisted by Geekie and Lindholm. Miles Wood would cut the deficit to 2-1, 7 minutes and 32 seconds into that frame, getting his 8th goal of the season from Tays and Malzinski. Jake DeBrusk would increase the lead to 3-1, roughly 5 minutes remaining in the period, his 10th goal of the season, assisted by Witherspoon and Zaka. So after 20 minutes of play, it was 3-1 in favor of the Bruins. In the second, Nathan MacKinnon would cut the deficit to 3-2, with 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the period, his 24th goal of the season, assisted by Manson and Cale Makar. In the third, Pastrnak will get his 2nd goal of the game, his 28th of the season, assisted by DeBrusk on a power play with 2 minutes and 36 seconds to go in the game. And then with an empty netter, Coyle would pass it to Pastrnak, and we would get the natural hat trick, his 29th goal of the season, with just 22 ticks to go in the game. So 5-2 would be the final score from Boston. With the victory, the Bruins are 27, 8, and 9. still atop of that Atlantic Division. And despite the loss, the Avalanche are still second in that Central Division with a record of 29, 14, and 3. All right, the next matchup takes place in Philadelphia, where we have the Flyers, and they're playing host to the Dallas Stars. All right, so we'll take a look at this game recap. In the first, Walker would open up the scoring with exactly a minute remaining in the period, getting his 5th goal of the season from Frost and Farabee. So it's 1-0 in favor of the Flyers heading into the second. Owen Tippett would increase the lead to 2-0, getting his 17th goal of the season from Sean Couturier, 3 minutes and 3 seconds into that frame. Tyler Seguin would cut the deficit to 2-1 with 7 minutes and 18 seconds to go, his 17th of the season, assisted by Matt Duchene. So after 40 minutes of play, it was 2-1 in favor of the Flyers. In the third, Cam Atkinson would get a power play goal, notching his 11th goal of the season from Frost and Sanheim. Scott Lawton would get his 5th goal of the season, 9 minutes and 16 seconds into that frame, increasing the lead to 5-1. And then Owen Tippett would get his 2nd goal of the game, his 18th of the season, 5.5 minutes to go in the game, making it 5-1. And that's where we would stand at the end of regulation. So with the victory, the Flyers are now 25, 14, and 6. They're currently sitting second in that Metropolitan Division. And despite the loss, the Dallas Stars are 26, 13, and 5. They're still sitting third in that Central Division. All right. Next match takes place in Tampa Bay, where we have the Lightning, and they're playing host to the Minnesota Wild. So before I get on with the goal scoring summary from this one, there was a bit of a tribute from Pat Maroon, who obviously was traded to the Minnesota Wild in the offseason, and he spent 4 years with the Tampa Bay Lightning and winning 2 Stanley Cups, and obviously going to a 3rd Cup final as well. So they had a bit of a tribute, which was always nice. All right, so Eriksson Ek would open up the scoring for the Wild, getting his 18th goal of the season from Faber and Middleton, 5 minutes and 17 seconds into that frame. Hedman would tie the game up less than a minute after that, getting his 8th goal of the season from Braden Point and Kucherov, 6 minutes and 12 seconds to be exact. So after one period, each team had a goal apiece. In the second, just 16 seconds into that frame, Cirelli would get a power play goal, his 9th of the season from Point and Hedman. Morelli would get his 1st goal of the season for the Tampa Bay Lightning, assisted by Sheary and Parabex, 3 minutes and 20 seconds into that frame, 3-1 at that point in favor of the Lightning. Rossi would cut the deficit to 3-2, 10 minutes and 52 seconds into that frame, or 9 minutes and 8 seconds remaining in the period, getting his 13th goal of the season from Middleton and Kaprizov. Braden Point would double up the lead to 4-2, 12 minutes 41 seconds into that frame, or 7 minutes and 19 seconds remaining in the period, his 21st of the season, assisted by Kucherov. Middleton would cut the deficit to 4-3 late in that second period with just 15 seconds to go. He would get his 6th goal of the season from Rossi and Zuccarello, so 4-3 after 40 minutes of play in favor of the Bolts. In the third, a power play goal from Stamkos would increase the lead to 5-3, his 19th of the season, assisted by Kucherov and Hedman. AC Mott would get a power play goal of his own roughly 7 minutes into that period, his 7th of the season from Cirelli and Radish. Cirelli would then increase the lead to 7-3 late in that third period with just 2 minutes and 8 seconds to go, his 10th goal of the season, assisted by Hagel and Victor Hedman. So 7-3 was the final score. It's like a football score, in my opinion. So with the victory, the 23, 17, and 5, they're currently sitting 5th in that Atlantic Division, but they are in a wild card spot as we speak. And Minnesota are 18, 21, and 5. And it just seems like the more games we play, it's looking very harder and harder for them to play catch up in a wild card position, especially in the Western Conference. All right, the next matchup takes place in Washington. We have the Capitals, and they played host to the St. Louis Blues. All right, so let's take a look and see who all scored from this particular game. So in the first, TJ Oshie would kick things off with a power play goal, assisted by Max Pacioretty, 10 minutes and 24 seconds into that frame, or 9 minutes and 36 seconds remaining in the period. Walker would tie the game up with 2 minutes and 6 seconds. getting his second goal of the season from Nick Leddy and Colton Parayko. So after one period of play, we were all tied up at 1. In the second, Abu Kubel would give the Capitals a 2-1 lead, his 5th goal of the season, assisted by Lapierre and John Carlson. TJ Oshie would strike yet again his 2nd goal of the game, his 6th goal of the season from Strome and Pacioretty, 10 minutes and 27 seconds into that frame, or 9 minutes and 33 seconds into that period. And that would be a power play goal, his 2nd power play goal, and his 2nd goal of the game. In the third, Dylan Strome would increase the lead to 4-1 just 34 seconds into that third period, his 16th goal of the season from Ovechkin and John Carlson. Walker would get his 2nd goal of the game for the St. Louis Blues, cutting the deficit in half to 4-2, his 3rd of the season from Falk and Alexandrov. There we go. TJ Oshie would complete the natural hat trick with just 20 seconds to go, assisted by Farabee, and that would be his 7th goal of the season. So it seemed like he got off to such a poor start, couldn't score, and now lately he's just starting to light the lamp. So who knows? Maybe he can possibly finish the season with 20 goals or more. All right, so with that victory, the Capitals are now 22-15-6, still chasing a wild card spot. And with the loss, the Blues are 21-20-2. Again, they're also chasing a wild card spot, but only time will tell to see if either of these teams will be able to play catch up. All right, the next matchup takes place in Calgary. We have the Flames, and they're taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. So for the Leafs, this is a very critical game, especially on their road trip. They had, up until this game, they had lost 4 straight games. So they were looking to try and get back in the win column as that Atlantic Division is getting a lot closer and tighter than they suspected. So in the first, Sharon Govich would kick things off for the Flames, getting his 19th goal of the season from Anderson and Huberdeau, 10 minutes and 52 seconds in that frame, or 9 minutes and 8 seconds remaining in that period. Nazem Kadri, a former Leaf, would increase the lead to 2-0, getting his 16th goal of the season from Lindholm and Huberdeau, a power play goal to note. Austin Matthews would cut the deficit in half, getting his 35th goal of the season from Gregor and McCann, an even strength goal with 1 minute and 36 seconds to go in the frame. So after 20 minutes of play, it was 2-1 in favor of the Flames. Matthews, big surprise, would score yet again, tying the game up 4 minutes and 8 seconds in that second period, his 36th goal of the season from Nylander and Holmberg. And for Nylander, that was a big for him to get on the goal scorer sheet, because since he had signed that big contract, he had missed 4 straight games. He had gone 4 straight games without registering a point. And then in this game, he came back. Still staying in the second, Mitch Marner would give the Maple Leafs a 3-2 lead, assisted by Nylander, his 2nd point of the game, and Austin Matthews, a power play goal to note, and for Marner, that would be his 19th goal of the season. Matthews would complete the natural hat trick, 13 minutes and 39 seconds into that second period, or 6 minutes and 21 seconds remaining, getting his 37th goal of the season from Matthew Knies and TJ Brody. Mangiapane would cut the deficit in half, so not in half, I apologize, would cut the deficit to 4-3, getting his 9th goal of the season from Backlund and Hanifin, and that happened with 2 minutes and 7 seconds to go in the frame. There was no scoring in the third period from either squad, so 4-3 would be the final score from Calgary. With the victory, the Leafs are now back in that 3rd spot in the Atlantic Division with a 22-13-8 record, and despite the loss, the Calgary Flames are 21-19-5. They're still just a few points out of a wild card spot, so yeah, it hurts, but again, not all hope is lost just yet. All right, the next matchup takes place in Edmonton. We have the Oilers, and they took on the Seattle Kraken. So in the first, Tolvanen would kick things off for the Kraken, getting his 12th goal of the season from Bjorkstrand, 9 minutes and 49 seconds into that frame. McCann would increase the lead to 2-0, 13 minutes and 32 seconds into that same period. His 18th goal of the season from Eberle and Gordy. And that goal happened with 6 minutes and 28 seconds to go in the frame. After 20 minutes of play, it was 2-0 in favor of the Kraken. Warren Foegele would score 37 seconds into that second period, getting his 8th goal of the season from Draisaitl and Evander Kane. Speaking of Draisaitl, he would get on the score sheet himself, getting his 22nd goal of the season from Zach Hyman and Nugent Hopkins, a power play goal, 4 minutes and 38 seconds into that period. Warren Fogle would score exactly 3 minutes after that, getting his second goal of the game, his ninth of the season from Draisaitl and Evander Kane, 7 minutes and 38 seconds to be exact. So after 40 minutes of play, it was 3-2 in favor of the Oilers. In the third period, Zach Hyman will get his 27th goal of the season from McDavid and Draisaitl, a power play goal late in that third frame with just 2 minutes and 38 seconds to go. 4-2 would be the final score from Edmonton. So with the victory, the Oilers have now won 12 straight games, a record for this team. And you think that when you look back in like the 80s era when they had Gretzky and Messier, Curry, and Coffey and Fuhr, that they weren't able to establish an 11 or 12 game win streak with the guys they had on that squad. And now the Oilers have now set a new record for 12 straight consecutive victories for this team. So with that, they are now 25-15-1. They are now sitting third in that Pacific Division. And it's absolutely mind-blowing considering you look back to like late November, they were like dead last or second to last in the league. And here they are, and they're storming back with a vengeance. With the loss, the Kraken are 19-17-9, and they're still pushing for a playoff spot themselves. All right. The next matchup takes place in Los Angeles. We had the Predators visiting the Kings. All right, let's take a look at the goal scoring summary from this game. So there's no scoring in the first. All the goals happened in the second frame. Ryan O'Reilly would kick things off for the Predators, getting his 17th goal of the season from Josi and Sissons, 7 minutes and 56 seconds into that frame. A power play goal to note. Drew Doughty would tie the game up less than a minute after that for the power play goal of his own, his 10th of the season from Kempe and Fiala. With 6 minutes and 20 seconds to go, Nyquist would give the Predators a 2-1 lead, getting his 12th goal of the season from Schenn and Ryan O'Reilly. And that's where we would stand at the end of the game. So with the victory, the Predators are 25-19-1, still pushing for a playoff spot. And with the Kings, they've now dropped into a wildcard position with a 21-13-8 record. Sorry, with Nashville, I do believe they are in a playoff spot. Let me just double check here before I continue on with my reviews. Yeah, so Nashville, they do have the number 1 wildcard spot, and the Kings currently have the number 2 wildcard spot, so that's my mistake. All right, now the next matchup takes place in Vancouver. We have the Canucks. They played host to the Arizona Coyotes. All right, let's take a look and see who scored in this game. So in the first, Elias Pettersson will get a power play goal, his 24th of the season from Quinn Hughes and JT Miller, and that goal happened with 3 minutes and 11 seconds to go in the frame. Dermott will get his first goal of the season for the Arizona Coyotes, tying it all up at 1, assisted by Kerfoot and Zucker, and that goal happened with 1 minute and 20 seconds to go in the frame. In the second period, a very late goal by the Canucks, courtesy of Joshua, assisted by Höglander and Bluegar, and that would be his 12th goal of the season, and it would be the game-winning goal, and that is where we would stand at the end of regulation, 2-1 in favor of the Vancouver Canucks. So with the victory, the Canucks now have secured their 30th win of the season. Who would have guessed that? 30-11-4, and with the loss, the Arizona Coyotes are 21-19-3. So the Canucks are still sitting first in that Pacific Division, while the Yotes are chasing a wild card spot. All right, the last game from Thursday took place in Las Vegas. We had the Golden Knights taking on the New York Rangers. So you have the best in the Metro and the second best in the Pacific. In the first, Marchessault would kick things off for the Vegas Golden Knights, getting his 19th goal of the season from Roy and Nick Hague. Barbashev would increase the lead to 2-0. Roughly 3 minutes after that, 14 minutes and 48 seconds, or 5 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in the period, getting his 10th goal of the season from Roy and Marchessault. In the second, Barbashev would get his second goal game, his 11th of the season from Mark Stone and Stevenson. That would be a power play goal, and there was exact 2 minutes and 1 second remaining in that frame. Kolser would then score Less than 30 seconds after that, increasing the lead to 4-0, getting his third goal of the season from Korzak, wow, and Brett Howden. So 4-0 in favor of the Vegas Golden Knights after 40 periods of play. In the thirds, the Band is able to finally get the Rangers on board, getting a power play goal 40 seconds into that frame, his 15th of the season from Chris Kreider and Panarin. Howden would get a late goal for the Vegas Golden Knights, a shorthanded marker with a minute and a half to go, his 5th of the season from Mark Stone. So 5-1 is where we would stand at the end of regulation in favor of the Vegas Golden Knights. So with the victory, the Knights are 26-14-5. Once again, they are still sitting second in that Pacific Division. And the Rangers are 28-14-2. And even with the loss, they're still first in that Metropolitan Division. All right, that takes care of my recap from Thursday's action of the NHL. As always, if you're new to this channel and you like this type of content, please feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and very appreciative. And as always, take care.